Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's a delay what you hear. Let's put that off. Okay. Bye bye, they'll say. So now it's bypassed. Yeah, I thought let's do something different today in how to create a Jupiter pet sound. It's the case we have, of course, in B.I.T. two presets. It's called GP Duo Pet 2 and 1. And essentially what I did is not check the original preset which I created on a bit, but it's in my head. So the way I created this in B.I.T. is how I created it in the Jupiter 8. So this is Pet 1, has a more modulation. It's a bit brighter than this one. Okay, I think I should put up the volume a bit of the Jupiter. Of course, that's dry. Let's put some delay on it because that's more fair to have a little bit of delay also on the original Jupiter. So I have to put up the... So here you see my Jupiter comes, okay, comes in. So this is one of the sounds which you use on continents. That's an album from 1983. Maybe you also know this sound. So this is the pad. So okay, let's mute the delay. So I place the webcam above the Jupiter 8. It's not perfect, but you can see the user interface. And the way I created pads on the Jupiter 8 is by using the dual mode. So essentially, I have 2 4-voice stacked. So the Jupiter 8 is 8 voice. And so this single sound. So if I go to whole, key mode whole, this one. You have one single 8-voice pad sound. So let me put that on. It's a bit of delay. Yeah, and that inspired the way I did that to the B.I.T. presets, which are not 100% copy of that patch, because as mentioned, it's in my head. So let's play it. So we have 2 versions here. This one's a bit louder than the original. So I play here. You hear B.I.T. is a bit more, excuse me, bright. So, and what I did in the original Jupiter, okay, let me shut down again the delay. Excuse me, is yeah, combining left and right. So I use the dual mode and the left pad, left pad and the right pad. There's a little bit of difference between the color frequency, and of course the LFOs are a bit different from those, and that's the way we created with our band the pad sound. So, and of course it's not fully the same created, because here we don't have the dual mode, so it's already inside one thing. What I did here is using 2 oscillators and 2 filters to have a little bit left-right spread. So it's you see how good or already the software is. And this is 1 and this is number 2. Excuse me for the cough. Let's know again. Jupiter. Okay, yeah, it needs a little bit of delay, isn't it? Otherwise, it's too dry. Of course, I could put off the delay in B.I.T. Still, you hear some sound difference, but it's about the character. The character is very much the same. So this is totally dry. So it's more in the way how you create these patches. So that the approach is what I did in B.I.T. And of course, adding a bit of delay always makes it more smooth. And you see the Jupiter comes in here on the same input. So yeah, and I have, of course, these are variations. One which I also like is this one, but that's more a variation, so very dark. Yeah, let's put down the delay. So yeah, so the bass is of course what I did with the Jupiter. That's how I program the pad sound, the mellow pad sounds using pulse width modulation. What you definitely see here in this Jupiter Dual Pad 1, where you see this pulse width modulation. And you see, to keep it more clear like a Jupiter, I don't use a chorus. You could use a chorus to make it even more stereo. So this is more without the chorus. Then of course you could alternate, change the sound. Change the filters. Yeah, and then I made, of course, variations. So the Jupiter is an inspiration point, and from there you take, of course, the modern options which you have with these modern virtual synthesizers. And of course, yeah, what it proves is that if you want to have these type of sounds, you don't need a Jupiter 8. You can do the same with B.I.T. And Cat Browns, yeah, the pads are inside B.I.T. They are in the factory patches. And the dark a bit pad is more personally what I like. There I use the unison, and you got a bit more swirly sound inside of it. And you notice that one is a bit more fuller than what you can do on a Jupiter. Then if you want to have the same on a Jupiter, I would need then some additional effects. So I need to put on the delay, but maybe also chorus. I'm editing the sound now. Yeah, you see that one is more calm because the swirl thing is done by this unison inside B.I.T. You have the chorus, a delay, active. So you see that with a virtual analog machine you can have this type of sounds for a fraction of the price. The Jupiter 8 goes insane now in price. I think it's sometimes you see really ridiculous prices. I think the real value of it, I estimate, would be around 10, 15K, maybe. I would say 5,000K, 5,000 euro would be already a very high price, but people seem to pay a lot more for it. And of course, I have a lot of history with the Jupiter 8. As maybe some people know the song Africa, which we did. And there was this little marimba thing, which I did in the Jupiter 8 by little trick on the arpeggiator. So let me check if I can play it. I don't have the percussion sound, but what I did is I pressed and I pressed down the arpeggiator. So I went from poly mode to arpeggiator. Now, so now the button doesn't work always. It's a bit of dust below the button, but I went from poly mode to arpeggiator and played this way, this part. So that's how I did it. Here you have up, arpeggiator up, and just one octave. So that was the trick. So I wasn't that fast with. Of course, I could also play it this way. But that's, of course, far more difficult. So that was a little trick. Not the Toto Africa. No, that's another one. This is a synthesizer thing. Yeah, there's never be a war between hardware and VST. In the end, it's about the music you create. But you don't need a Jupiter 8 for having the Jupiter 8 sound in your track. That's my point. Of course, it's great to have one, and mine I purchased in 1983, so I have it already in my studio or in my possession for, oh boy, that's a long time. 73 years. Oh boy, I'm getting old. But I was happy at that time because I turned in or sold my Monopoly because I was totally fed up by not having presets. And with the Jupiter 8, of course, I could create my own presets and have far more freedom in terms of sound-wise. Okay, so let me see if I can put on. Of course, I should show you another sound, which is also maybe nice to. This one happened in the studio. So you hear my RP verb. When we were in the studio in Wisseloord, at that time the samplers were not that common. The first EMU sampler 1 came, and so I created this recorder flute with Jupiter 8, and the engineer was totally blown away. He said it's almost like a real one. And of course, compared to a sample, it's of course not as realistic, but for that time it was not bad. So when I play it, it was a little bit reverb. You hear it's a very nice flute sound. So yeah, it's maybe a bit too soft. Yeah, some typical other sounds. Yeah, the little fuzz sounds were always great on the Jupiter 8. So the sync sound. Yeah, cool machine. And okay, so let's have the chat room. Fusty are much less weight. Yeah, definitely. So another sound which is typically a Jupiter, my own Jupiter sound. So let me see. So the older people who know my the music of our bands will recognize this one. It's a very short, a very long attack brass sound, which is especially cool with a bit of reverb. Yeah, and you see how much reverb does to a sound. If I do pie pass, play it again, then it sounds pretty dry. So that makes a huge difference, isn't it? Okay, let's see. In the chat room, so a little bit different. For the ones which are a bit later, it's about creating this Jupiter pad sound. And one thing I did is showing then also variations. So the approach is of course different. This one also, this pad which is in this one is using a saw waveform. So this is a different type of pad. And the other one, which is a typical MyWave programming, a Jupiter 8 pad with using pulse width modulation, is this one. And you see here the modulation. So if I shut down oscillator 2, I shut down. You see this one pan to the left. So go to the advance, you see here you have the LFO and the amount is on the symmetry. Here is a little bit of amount. So if I put it off, you have a square. And by adding the LFO, controlling this symmetry, okay, to the advance, you see this is the pulse width. And of course you need to have a nice speed. It sounds a bit like a chorus. And the amount should be okay. Yeah, then the second oscillator adds of course an additional, because that one also has the LFO on the symmetry, but maybe on a little bit different tempo. If you go in the upper readout, you see that the speed of LFO in oscillator 1 is 2.78 Hertz, and in the oscillator 2 the LFO is 2.66 Hertz. So both oscillators have the symmetry modulation, but both have a little bit different speed, which makes it also more fuller, more swirly. Yeah, well, and in B.I.T. I made it the case that instead of combining two patches together, to have left-right, what I did with the pads here. So These are two patches. One is left, one is right, with different cutoff frequency. I use two oscillators here, and the oscillator 1 goes into filter 1. That's split oscillator here. So if I shut down oscillator 2, you can hear that. That one goes to the left filter, and the oscillator 2 goes to the right filter. And combined, you have a very nice stereo sound. I see Kaffa is confused with the CS80. Well, check the, just type PERU, which is a strange name for an electronic band, but that's how our band was called. It was formed by Peter and Ruth, so therefore this name, PERU, and then Africa. And then you hear this song, which we created in 1983. We did a remix, which became a #1 hit in Austria in 1988 by a 12-inch. And you hear the Lindrum computer and lots of Jupiter 8, Uno 60, and these brass what I played. So these this one. That's from this track. And the funny thing is, we had at that time, there were not that much samples. I used the Jupiter 8 for the elephant sound and also for the weird bird sound inside of it. These patches are not in this setting, in this Jupiter 8, but if you hear a kind of elephant inside of it, that was not a sample, but was a Jupiter 8. And the so that's about, creating pad sound. So the mellow pads you can create by using the pulse width modulation. You see here, that's one way of doing it. And you have already a kind of movement in the oscillator itself, almost like a chorus. And, or like the other one, which is saw waveform. Yeah, somebody mentioned that Jupiter 8 is on many productions. Yeah, countless productions. The Jupiter 8, I think, Duran Duran, Howard Jones, you name it. And it's indeed a very heavy instrument. I use it last time in 2019 when I played live. I took it on stage, a big case, 40 kilograms in total. But next time when I play live, I will not have it with me anymore because it's too, it's an old lady, just like my Minimoog. Two very old instruments. I'd rather keep them in the in my studio on a safe spot. Okay. So that about the pad sounds. I hope you liked it a little bit. And then if you have a question, let me know in the chat room, please. Then of course we released Punch-2. Isn't that cool? Finally it came out. Let me see if I change here a little bit the things you see. So that's that one, that's this one. Okay, I put them a little bit up. And then we pick again Punch-2. I have in the info section you can download, because Tom Aldrich did not send me a demo song, but he did send me his own kits. And you see here, TA roll kit. So I did zip this bank, and it's called 10 TA's Funk Shop. And he uses the grooves a little bit different. So he makes more, they use that one key, does play one groove. So let's see. I need to put it on. Come on. So it's a groove too. It's totally different. So that's the cool thing about Punch-2, that you can use it in different ways. So it's okay, shut down this one. So and so these are the some kits he has. TA. Yeah, and general kit he made. So these are the things that Tom Aldrich did send. So check it out. Yeah, I made a short YouTube video about the new Punch version 1.04, which I point out all the different things we did. And we have, of course, these new presets finalized. So if you go to this one, we have, of course, the plastic bottles. We have 4 variations. I made it so that there is a audition sequencer. So you have all kind of things which are in the kit. And you see in the manager, we see everything is shorter. We have less distance between the text, so more is visible, also more banks. So this is having a slice loop. Koen Herfs created these using some bottles. And I created some grooves with that. There, you see there are more of these. Essentially, it's a sample which you can chop. And so there's this one. There's this one. And there's this one, which I use in this preset. There's also so you can make more difference. So I created a few of them. This one, second one. And that's cool. What is that? What I did here is once I took one slice, which is then over 8 pads. You see, slice 1 up to 8. If we go to edit, you can see that 1 to 8. I did map slice, and then it maps it. And you see that here I did mute a pad. So I just one thing of this slide I mute, and that makes this cool. This groove so cool. Pause. Okay, that's another one. And another one. In this one, it's detuned. So here the slices are 8 in total, and the tuning is down. And you see combined slices, which makes that all the pads which use these slices are together tuned downwards. And some of them are still muted, I see, so I could put them on again. So that's also what you can do. If you see something is muted, just unmute it and see what happens. Or just mute them back on. And you have a different rhythm. So simply by muting some of the slice pads, you create totally new groove. And if you say, okay, I only want to have the slice, well, then it's a system that if you hit note A3, it starts these slices. So you also, I mean, I have now a pattern, but you can build it up. Yeah, and then we have some cool marching. So now let me load it in. Okay, I need to go down with the tempo. 69. This one combines our marching type of sound, which are this. And then, of course, the built-in samples. And then combined together, so it's the slice loop combined with the other patterns. This one went a little bit hot in volume, but yeah, I can check the version. So if you have a piece of music, let's see if I have still a little bit of music. Oh, I need to mute that one. Okay. Noise. So there's already a punch active. Let's put that off. Yeah, although. Yeah, you see my voice cuts out a little bit because it needs to load all the... So this is very cool for if you're doing TV commercials or all kind of stuff. Okay, let's do another. Marching Run, it's called. Okay, another one. Yeah, that's maybe cool to combine with the other things. Let's check if that... So this is a punch already playing. Of course, if you think, oh, this is cool as a slice, you still can mute things. So only play 3 things. So the slice loop, you see here, loop play, that triggers A3, the loop, the slices. And then I've got groove 2, which is the shaker. And then 3 is a hi-hat type. One is a cheese box. So if I could also do this, essentially, if I have a basic rhythm going on, I simply real time could trigger the notes. Yeah, so cool new stuff inside of it. And you also could say, okay, I only want to use the other ones. Yeah, isn't that cool? So the other thing is we added also the MIDI files. So now the MIDI files are much more improved. The exporting, so here you have export MIDI. You can have the all audition sequencer as a MIDI file. And what we did is we installed also all the factory patches, and you will find in the Punch-2 MIDI folder, so that will be a document for Papen Punch-2 MIDI folder. There you will find the MIDI files, which we extracted from all the factory presets. So if you see audition sequencer MIDI, you double click and there you see, yeah, there are the 4 presets or multiple presets which use the sequenced audition. And then you can do drag and drop. So we did already for you some work. So if I, let me see if I can try this out here. Of course I need to have the grid on board, that's right. So I pull down, let's see how that works. This marching here and drop it here. Then I could use this marching, it's open. Let's see, so now it needs to play. You see here the MIDI file. I need to shut down the other one. And it plays the MIDI file. So the other Punch-2 I shut down. Let's see what happens. Need to go to bar 9. So now you see you have it all as a MIDI file. Here you see all the playing. And down here you see the notes are longer. These are the essentially the slices, I think. Yeah, see. And then above you got all the other things. So that's also cool. You know, if you so let me check. So that's added. So we extracted all the MIDI files for you, and this you will find in this folder. And if you find in this MIDI folder also Punch-1, that one you can forget. I mean, if you are fresh installing, you will not see here the Punch-1 MIDI files because they will not work because of the keyboard layout. You will but if you're fresh with Punch-2 fresh install, you will have audition sequencer, the presets which use only audition, and then we also have separated the separate grooves and breaks, or the slice loops. You see the slice loops you also can have as a separate file. So yeah, lots of data, all cool that we added. Okay, there's a question about the audition sequencer, I think. Would it be an idea to let the audition sequencer button let be controlled by a keyboard key? Well, that's what is happening, Johan. If I hit the audition here, I can hit it, but you don't see it, but I hit note G3 sharp, then it starts playing the audition sequencer. And you can even make it the case, and if you are in the audition sequencer, because you can make a whole long sequence, is that it responds to your host start. So that starts playing once you hit play in your music host. Okay. Let me see, I'm checking the... hey, Tom is there. Tom, thanks for sending the kits. Very nice. I showed them already to the people in the chat room. We are watching, the people who are watching the live stream. I created a 10 Funk Shop folder and people can download. I think you are okay with that. And as mentioned, what you use the grooves and breaks a bit different. You make it more that groove 1 is more a complete groove. It's 4 tracks, and groove 2 is again a different track. So that's a very different approach. But that's the cool thing about Punch-2. It's up to you how you want to work with that. Yeah, and then he asked, why are there two knobs in the distortion section? Well, that's a good question, because one could be mix and the other one could be the amount of distortion. So it's a kind of mix amount and the distortion amount. So that's it depends on which okay. So if I go here to pad 24, you see distortion, and I could say, okay, first there's more so it depends on the type of distortion. So sometimes it's a mix, sometimes it's something different, the amount of control. And I use it a lot. For instance, if you go here, that's another thing we did in the manager. You got the drum kit presets, okay? Here it is. And this one uses a sample, but if you would pick here snare, I created some new snares from the models. So for instance, a log high tone is already longer, but if you go to the screen, the advanced screen, which you can do by clicking here on the pencil or click on the advanced, you see this one uses the fold over, and that's a very cool one. So without fold over, I have this as a snare. I can see some reverb, so make it a little bit drier. And the fold over really makes it a little bit edgier. And that's of course the case with analog drum machines, is that they have all kind of analog gear inside of it. I think Punch-2 is very clean. If you have no distortion, it's maybe too clean compared to a analog machine. So by adding the distortion, so in this case the fold over, it gives this little edge to it, which also happens in the components, in an analog components. So therefore it's also saved within the preset. Each pad has its own distortion function. So here we added some new presets. I'm not sure which one. Little snare. Well, this is also using also a little bit of distortion. So I added some new snares, which are essentially all done by using synthesis. And also with claps, we added new claps. So if I pick here for pad 24 clap models, new claps are inside of it. It's a bit muddy, but they work nice. I think this one I used in this other groove. So I go to the kit preset manager, I think in the bottle groove. So let's see where it is. Yeah, here it is. Pad 12, which is B1. So if you go here, it's a model. No distortion, and it's using the newer bandpass filter too. So it has a very, yeah, in the music it sounds like a real claps compressed in a room. Yeah, we added so new samples, also vocal stuff, which maybe you know also already a little bit from Punch. Oh, sorry, Subboom Bass 2. Oh yeah, that's a good question. Why doesn't decay work on certain sounds? Yeah, that's a thing. Let me show you. If I go to this bass drum here, You see, hold is used here, and that makes, and I'm still in brainstorming how to solve this, because and essentially I discussed this with John, because if you change here the decay, it makes it shorter, but sometimes if you have a very long hold and change the decay, you don't hear anything. So the main page has the decay here, but essentially it should be decay and hold to have all the control over it. So in some cases, decay doesn't do anything because the sound has originally a very long hold. And this hold is a very cool feature. So if you go here, let's say if you're more into hip hop, you can go here to a bass drum. This one is a sample. I go to the other bass drum types. Okay. Bad folder. That's not possible. A nice one. No. Let me see. Hip hop. Here you see there's a pretty much a long hold. If I do the hold, get a shorter one. And this you could also do with an audio compressor to have a very more tone, steady tone thing. So you see it here graphically. Something which you could do with an extreme compressor to have the level of the kick very long. That's what they do on an 808 kick. To have this long, you know. This one has a little bit of distortion. Yeah, and if I go here to the main page and change the decay, it's not really doing as it should be. So maybe an idea would be to have decay hold next to each other, but there's not much room for it. So yeah, that's just something which, yeah, we overlooked a little bit, Tom. But that hopefully explains it why sometimes the decay doesn't work, because there's a very long hold active. Okay. I'm checking the chat room. Yeah, some people were a bit later, so always can watch it back. The live stream is always available in the playlist live streams. Where is the Model 902 Squeak 02 located? Good question. Decay works with synthesis sound. Yeah, it depends. Because with samples, you also can have very long hold time. So if you see here. So let's see. Go to the edit. Also here you see it has a hold. Yeah, so that's one of the things which is the case, that essentially in the main page, the decay, essentially we would need one extra spot here for decay and hold so that you can control both. Is an option to normalize the low volume sample? Not really. If you use your own samples, I would normalize them anyhow yourself already. There is, of course, if you have a preset here, let's see if we go to here and pick one of the presets. Let me see, gongs. This sample is, of course, which is factory installed, is already normalized. But of course here in the preset, if you make a preset from it, it stores this volume of this preset. So this you could increase to make it louder in your drum kit. But essentially, if you create your own samples and use your own samples, there's not a way where you can normalize inside Punch-2 again. So you should do that in your Wavelab or audio editor to normalize the sound. Tom, yes, your Model 9 Squeak. I have no idea. Okay, yeah, all clear. Yeah, so so many things changed. The in the AVIX, that's not that obvious, but we had a little bit of problem if you selected something. So now you can see which pad I play because it's very busy because you have 4 AVIX sent per pad, and then if you played pad 23, which is selected, now it lines up. So before it was the case that the one which was selected did not light up the way that you really could notice it. What I also did is create some more presets, which, for instance, modelings, claps. So all the claps I put in one preset. So if you say, okay, I'm looking for claps, I put them all together. Or model snares, which are all synthesized snares. And of course, I created also some snares. Snare collection 1 is a lot of new snares. And some of them are really created by using Mix AB. You see this one? It's really a creation of 2 samples. And the way I did that is simply what I did while creating the preset. I went to here, to this one. And then I looked, where was it, the snare? Oh, here's this one. And then I start creating, and then, yeah, now you see that if you go to snares, of all kinds of snares which I created. And that's also new, which was different. So here you see a wood 19 low, mix AB. Now it shows that A, B, even C has even a sample loaded. So if there is a sample loaded, the sample name pops up in green. So if I go to the next preset, you see sample B and C, this is empty. So there's no sample loaded. And there's also the play mode, only sample A. So this is what I, for instance, use to create snares. So this is mix AB. So this is a combination of this one and this one. And together you get a new snare. And also what we did is that, you see now it's mix AB, 2 samples are loaded because sample A and sample B is green. You see that the volume A and B is, the label is clear, and you see that the label volume C is fade out, and also velocity split is fade out because it's inactive. These are all kind of little things we added also to this update to make it, yeah, more clear how things work. So I have also some very nasty snares. This is a very low beat. High snare, yeah, say high snare. Oh, the tempo is so low. I need to put a little bit higher tempo, guys. So this is really a major update. Where is the tempo? Here. Let's take 120 beats per minute. Now this one uses also A and B. It's a, so if we go to A is, let's see what it is. It's a normal snare, and B is a jungle snare, which is a very small, like a tambourine snare. And that's B. So together, Very nice percussive sound of a bark. So all kind of stuff is on board, and this is how I simply create. There's also a pain snare, which is a little bit of a joke. Oh, vocal snare, yeah. Yeah. So let's play the... Okay, you see, so all kind of creative stuff inside of it, but I'm looking for the... Oh, this deep... Pain side stick. So yeah, a lot of new presets, drum presets are inside of it. So new snares, yeah, are the drum presets. Yeah, and that what we did is that if you are somewhere here, that you can easily go to the pad to edit it even more. We have some brilliant presets from, of course, Jamal created some very nice stuff. Let me see, Jamal03. I played them also in this YouTube video you can watch. So if you go to the Punch-2 playlist, there is this new video, and at the end I also play some of the new presets. Also here you have order by date, which means that you see the last presets he created. And then of course I need to go down in tempo. F2, 80 beats per minute. And of course, what Jamal creates is very different from all the other things, and that makes it so cool with Punch-2. It has so many different styles and sounds on board. It's a very, most likely the most versatile drum machine on this planet. Uses a lot of models in this one. So this is also a snare model. Some very cool presets. This one is also nice. And you see Jamal uses far more EQ, filter and compressor and limiter on his drum kit. So to create a different type of taste to it. So you see, yeah, these are options, for example, which I myself never use. I never use the master section. I keep it from that part basic. But you see here, he uses EQ, filter, and the filter you could open. It's a totally different approach, and that's very cool. That one needs a bit more beat. And of course we had still the advanced page, by the way, of the easy page. By the way, I didn't try that out on my presets yet. So some very nice different material again. So that makes that Punch-2 has so many, of course, real drums. Not really, but I mean, it's mainly electronic drums. And of course, we have some presets from Where is the tonal axis? He sampled one of his, he had some, I call it again, yeah, CB55, seems to be a modular rack thing. Was a nice slice. So let's see this one. So that's some new presets in the tonal axis as well. Okay, yeah, that's quite some new material inside Punch-2 and in the manager. So if you go here, order by date, you can locate them. And of course, I put them also in the info section of Punch-2. You have the download page of Punch-2. You can, in the info, you find where all the new presets are. Of course, on request, I added also the CR78 and KR55, maybe I call it. So much fun parts inside of it. So, okay, guys. So if you own Punch-2 and you have, for instance, maybe Explore 6, what you can do instead of downloading the Explore 6 is simply go more down in the download page of Explore 6, and there you will find all these single installers there. You also could download Punch-2 and run that only. On the other hand, we updated a lot of plugins to VST3 support. So, for instance, B.I.T has now VST3 support, RPEQ. We are very far. Not every plugin is yet VST3, but we are already very far on that subject. So maybe it's simply a good idea to download the full Explore 6 installer again. It's 4 or 5 gigabyte, and then you will update everything. Maybe you missed out a few things. So, okay. Good, guys. We are on the end now of the live stream. I hope you like it. If you like it, thumbs up. And hope next week there will be not a live stream, because then it's the holiday of my wife. So we will be eating, having a nice dinner together. But we will be then back in 2 weeks. Maybe then I already have some news about our new plugins which are planned, Predator 3 and this vocoder type of things. But we'll see how that will go. So I will see you back in about 2 weeks on a Thursday. Stay safe, enjoy creating music, and thanks for watching. Bye.